This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
I'm Peter Stewart, and welcome to this week's edition of the Planet Reigate podcast, episode 38. Earlswood, Charlwood and Outwood, Buckland, Betchworth and Brockham, Reigate, Redhill and Merstham. Welcome to your podcast, Just For You, the show exclusively, uniquely and proudly about RH1, 2 and 3. This week, my guests will hear from Phaedra and her local Saturday morning dog group that helps our four-legged furballs find new friends, and hear from Pippa with all that's great about Redhill, but what, in her suggestion, could make it better still. In the news this week, the latest stats on people visiting Redhill, the Belfry and Marks and Spencer's, new training facilities at Surrey Fire and Rescue HQ at Ray Park, the local ambulance service is trialling fully electric vehicles, free support for businesses locally, there's a day-long meeting that you can go to get lots of help and advice. We've got an opening date for a new restaurant cafe in Redhill, but there's some confusion about where it actually is. The BBC has cancelled an appearance in Salford. The new pilot scheme from a national charity is starting locally. I'll give you the details. Free health services come to Earlswood, including a healthy eating and weight management course and free NHS health checks. And the closure is announced of another local theatre. Also in this week's show, of course, we've got the Good Time Guide of events across the area over the next 7 days, and a special look back at bygone days of the Reigate Pageants. Apparently they were quite a thing back in the 1900s. I'll give you a quick recap, a little bit of a history lesson, if you like. We'll go back in time to tell you what the pageants were all about. Plus, I give you the local roadworks heads up so you can avoid the hold-ups. And I've also got Planet Reigate Stars from, well, Liverpool, actually. Find out the link with the Planet Reigate area later on in the show. And our 60-second soundscape before we go at the end of the show, this week from Brockham.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast with Peter Stewart.
Yeah, that's me, and don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favourite podcast app and tell your friends all about it as well. Really appreciate it. First of all, let's go to our Planet Reigate postbag, or mailbox really, isn't it? Because these are emails and social media posts that have come in during the course of the week. Mentioned Redhill's parachuting priest last week, and got a message back from Cliff at St Matthew's Church in Redhill, who says, just a note to say a huge thanks for including Reverend Anna in the podcast. Really fantastic. Many congratulations too on a great podcast. It's a superb local news and features show. Warm wishes as ever, Cliff. Cliff, never met, but hopefully we will sometime in the future. And also hopefully catching up with Reverend Anna as well, hearing about her jumping out of a plane to raise awareness and funds for St Matthew's Church, or St Matt's as I understand they call it. And very, very soon to find out a little bit more about what they do. And also you may recall that last week I mentioned an email that I'd had in from Donna. Yeah, she said, quote, I wondered if you'd put a shout out for the Ramblers Wellbeing Walks, East Surrey. I know you frequently mention other walks happening in the area. I thought these might be of interest to your listeners as well. They're organised in association with our local YMCA in Redhill. Well, as I said, I mentioned that last week, and this week heard back from Donna, who also wrote, P.S. I only got involved in the Wellbeing Walks thanks to the Planet Reigate podcast. You promoted the YMCA Open Evening on one of your first podcasts. Yeah, I remember that, Donna, yeah. And I wanted to connect with my local community, so I registered and went along on a bit of a whim, really. It was there I met Julie. I liked the idea of merging my love of hiking with volunteering, and so started my journey to becoming a well-being walks leader as well. And that is absolutely fantastic to hear when things happen like that, isn't it? Because that's what it's all about. It's not just going along to things, but it's also perhaps joining up to things and making it a bit of a change in what you're doing, finding a new aspect to a hobby or something that you didn't know that you liked, meeting new friends. And also something that somebody said a few weeks ago that struck with me, and that was that they said to me, Peter, I love... It was while I was over, in fact, at Reigate Squash Club about a month, 6 weeks ago, and somebody there said to me, Peter, I love hearing the Good Time Guide, which is coming up in a few minutes' time, of course, as you know. And I said, oh, have you been along to any of the events? And they said, no, but I love to hear of all the events that are going on. I love to be able to picture the buildings and the locations where those events are happening. And I love to know how vibrant our local community is, where people are doing all sorts of things with each other and for each other. And that's why I love listening to the Planet Reigate podcast. So, Donna, thanks very much indeed for sending me that message as well about how the Planet Reigate podcast kind of influenced your journey to pick up a new hobby and to make new friends. It's great to hear, makes it all worthwhile. Thanks so much indeed for letting me know. Also, last week I mentioned the Hawley Business Guild, and they posted on social media. Yeah, last week's podcast, the Planet Reigate podcast, giving us a mention. The podcast highlights local businesses, events, and good news stories weekly. Yeah, that's what we try to do. Absolutely. I think it's James over there who probably posted that. Thanks very much indeed, James. Absolutely. We like to do the good news stuff because there's so much really vibrant and heartwarming about where we live in RH1, 2 and 3. And RH6 as well, to mention Hawley. And the post goes on, if you live local or have your own business in Reigate and surrounding areas, we would recommend giving the Planet Reigate podcast a listen. Mentioned the Reigate Squash Club a few moments ago, and they've popped up on social media as well in the week. Thank you. Everyone in Reigate and the surrounding areas should listen to the Planet Reigate podcast, especially, they said, at 104.41, where our shout-out was last week. Absolutely, guys. I mean, hopefully you'll listen to that bit and then think, gosh, this is good. I've got to go back to the beginning and start all over again. And also last week we heard from Britt and other members of Reigate Priory Lawn Tennis Club last week, and they said on social media, did you hear about our special offer for the Planet Reigate podcast listeners? Listen to our feature in episode 37 and email us at info@rpltc.co.uk to redeem the offer. Thank you to the Planet Reigate podcast for letting us be on this fantastic show. I appreciate sometimes this little bit of the Planet Reigate podcast can turn a little bit into kind of the old Steve Wright show. Do you remember that? Love the show, Steve. But, you know, what I'm trying to show and illustrate is the value that people get from listening to this free podcast. So hopefully you'll be able to support the podcast, but also the different clubs, societies, businesses, ventures, events and so on that happen across our fantastic area. Yeah, Britt said to me, I'm over the moon with how the interview turned out. Thank you so much. And I wondered if we could permanently post the podcast on our website. Well, absolutely, Britt. That's a great idea, because an interview on the podcast is not just a one-off thing. Use it as part of your marketing to go forward. It's a really easy way for people to understand what it is you do, whether it's a charity or a business or a club. And when people inquire, it's a kind of audio explanation of your background, your ethos, what you do, and explained in your own voice, not pages of text on a website. People can actually hear how lovely you are, how friendly you are. They can hear the passion for whatever it is that you do in your voice. And people can consume that little clip, that feature, that interview in which you feature. They can listen to it while they're doing other things, like exercising or commuting and whatever it happens to be. So if you would like an interview or a mention for your event, then do get in touch with us, won't you? The address is the usual address. Mention it so often. Here's Judith.
Email hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com.
And of course, please support our supporters. We'd like to wish a very warm welcome to the Belfry Shopping Centre in Redhill, Woodlands Lettings also in Redhill, and Lucy's Ladle in Earlswood as well. And you'll hear messages from them later on in the show, and I hope you'll give them your support in a similar way to that shown by them to the Planet Reigate podcast. And if you'd like to become a supporter of the show and have your message available to the thousands of people within the Planet Reigate area, then you can drop me a line.
Email hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com.
So it may be a shop or a business, or you may be an independent trader, or you may want to drum up a bit more support for your event, whether it happens to be a large event or a small event. It could be a massive talk or exhibition or display or concert where you're expecting a few hundred people, or it may be a school fete or a church bazaar. And even though we mention 40 to 50 events a week for free, if you want added exposure, more mentions and cross-platform support and coverage in the several weeks leading up to the show, talk, exhibition, fair, sale, holiday, club, whatever it is, then we can talk with you about that as well. And I like to support the local area as well. This week I had Saturday brunch at one of our local garden centres and recorded interviews at Reigate, Raycommon, Mercers and Earlswood. So keep an ear out for those over the coming weeks. Coming your way soon on the Planet Reigate podcast.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
And please remember to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. You can do that via your favourite podcast app. Just find our page, so search for the Planet Reigate podcast, and then there'll be a button or a drop down, something that you can tap which will say subscribe, it might say favourite, something like that, and then automatically every show will be downloaded just as soon as it's released. It's quite magical actually. When I do post it, when an episode goes live and I watch the stats kind of under the bonnet, because obviously I can see how it all works back here at Planet Reigate HQ, and I see within minutes those downloads automatically starting right across RH1, 2 and 3. And if you would like a mention for your charity or non-profit event, let us know about it. You can fill out the form you'll find on the planetreigatepodcast.com. So these events happening on Saturday the 1st of June. First of all, mums, are you looking for something to do with your daughter? Why not go along and try the mother and daughter class at Mercers Lake? Yes, it's a family fit class with Claire. Guaranteed fun and friendly atmosphere. Mother and daughter classes Saturdays 9:10 to 10 a.m. You can contact Claire on 07534 984 347 and tell her that you heard about it on the Planet Reigate podcast. Well, the Missing People's Choir is 10 years old this year, and on Saturday, the choir and friends are taking to the streets of London, I know, London, bear with, walking and singing together to raise awareness of the wonderful Missing People charity and to raise money for the vital services they provide. And amongst the people who are going to be singing along and taking part in that are our good friends, Nina and co, over at the Unison Choir. Yeah, they're going to be singing some of the city's most wonderful spaces, Leicester Square, Covent Garden and Trafalgar Square as well. So if you would like to take part and actually sing along with the Missing People's Choir and also the Unison Choir as well, then you can do that by contacting Nina, nina.bromham at missingpeople.org.uk. That's Nina, nina.brom for mother, HAM at missingpeople.org.uk. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about the Unison Choir, then you can listen back to our interview with Nina in episode 20 of the Planet Reigate podcast. Also in that episode, how Carrington School got its name as well. So if you're intrigued, well, why is it called Carrington? Yeah, when it moved from Warwick to Carrington, why did they choose that? You'll find out that in episode 20 of the Planet Reigate podcast. East Surrey Walkers Group are putting their feet in their boots and putting their boots in the mud across Bletchingley on Saturday the 1st of June. They're meeting in Bletchingley Village Car Park. It's up the side of Lawrence's, the auctioneers, and they're walking to Redhill, going back by bus. An interesting walk with good views through 2 nature reserves. No stiles, so it's dog friendly as well, and they reckon they'll be back in time for 1 o'clock. So starts at 10, finishes at 1 o'clock, and the distance is 6 miles. It's a leisurely walk. You can contact Judy if you want more information on that. 07938 25891. Have I said that right? 07938 325 891. On Sunday, there's summer at Gatton. There's a picnic in the park. Yeah, celebrate the start of summer with a picnic on the parterre, or take your own hamper to the lakeside or the Japanese garden. Traditional children's games include croquet, hoops, giant Jenga and skipping, all equipment provided, and the Gatton Hall tea room is open for the sale of refreshments and cakes as well. Online booking, £6 for adults is a guide price, 12 to 5 p.m. and that is the Good Time Guide for this coming weekend. And the Good Time Guide comes in two parts, as you know, so we'll continue with our Good Time Guide for the coming week from Monday a little bit later on in this week's edition of the Planet Reigate podcast. I'm Peter Stewart. Welcome to the show. Loads more still to come in this week's episode 38. We've got so much more in our archive shows as well. For example, we heard from staff and students at East Surrey College about a scroll that's fit for the king in episode 26. Yeah, they created an exquisite parchment scroll for the new king on behalf of Reigate and Banstead Borough Council, complete with intricate crests and calligraphy. It was really interesting to see it and really interesting to hear about the story and the amount of work and expertise that has gone into it. And we heard from all the winners of this year's Reigate and Banstead Sports Awards, which were presented at a special ceremony at Donnings back in episode 27. So episode 26, episode 27, you'll find those on our page in your favourite podcast app.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast with Peter Stewart.
And later on in the show, we hear from Pippa, who simply loves Redhill. And later on, she'll tell us why. But you know what? When you love someone, you sometimes might feel you have to respectfully suggest how, with a little bit of change on their behalf, you'd love them even more, don't you? Pippa tells us exactly that later on in the show. But first, Phaedra co-runs a group for dogs and their owners that meets in Reigate each weekend. And they coordinate things on social media, so it's kind of understandable. The group is called FaceBARK. Love it. And the idea of the group is so dogs, which of course usually spend more time with humans rather than other dogs, can socialise and make new friends and so become more rounded canines. Sounds good? As we hear, it's after one of Phaedra's own dogs left another group.
We had a French bulldog. He was kicked out at a year and we said, well, he's still got a load of friends. Of course, we want him to continue with those friends. So we asked the council if they had any land that would be available. And they said, actually, yes, you can use the castle grounds for now. We don't mind. And then because the rose bushes, they wanted to replace them. They didn't want the dogs trampling on them, so they asked us to move over to the site where we are now, which is behind the Busy Bees nursery on Lesbourne Road. They have been instrumental in helping us. They have been fantastic, giving us parking every week, and we can't say enough nice things about them. They are fantastic people.
And what is this land actually called?
This is the former bowls green.
I thought it looked like a bowling green, because it's sunk down a couple of feet, isn't it? Yes. And it's rather unkempt, so it's been a while ago since people were bowling here.
Yes, there was a clubhouse here that got burned down 3 times, and on the 3rd time the insurance company said, we're not going to cover you for a 3rd arson attack. So they showed us the land and said, if you'd like to bring all your dogs down here, that's absolutely fine. I have 3 rescues. Lilo was causing severe allergies and was taken on after the other 2. Archie was being mistreated by his previous owners. He was there when I had my French bulldog Monty, and they were like brothers, they were like siblings, and they met each other at Pet's Corner, and so he's continued on, and he really is the ambassador of the group. If there's a nervous dog, he'll bring them in, he'll set them at ease, that sort of thing. He's a Frenchie pug. And I have another French bulldog called Odin, and he was rescued from a puppy farm. Simply put, they were starving him down. They thought they could turn him into a teacup. That's not how it's done. It's done through breeding, not feeding. So we got him out of there.
And I'm looking around, the number of dogs here, you must have, we're about 30, is it?
From about 9:30, we have around 40, and there will be attrition throughout the session.
And various breeds.
We love every size, every age. We don't discriminate based on breed. We have everything from Rottweilers and Whippets all the way down to Chihuahuas and Dachshunds. So we really do love every size, every age.
What do the dogs get out of it all?
They get to socialise constantly. They run around together, they get the social aspect, and they get very, very tired from that. You can throw a ball for a dog for an hour, and it won't even touch the surface of what the dog can get out of a large interaction like this. The more they play with each other, the more satiated the brain is, and it really does calm them down, and it gives them that feeling of, okay, I can relax now, I'm at peace.
Because I guess usually dogs don't see other dogs, apart from perhaps passing them in the street or in the park for 2 minutes sniffing each other and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To actually get to know other dogs and other breeds and other temperaments as well is really useful for them, as it is for us.
Yeah, the one thing that we do have to say is we don't allow treats or anything that can cause aggression. We have had people feed before. They do have their own temperament, their own way of doing things. We do understand that there will be nervous dogs. We know there'll be rescue dogs. We know that there's things in their past that will come up, but we try to mitigate that by not having anything that they can get upset about. So balls and treats, stay away, but the rest of it is fully inclusive, and we absolutely love the time that they get together.
So it's socialising rather than throwing balls for them or games
Absolutely.
or activities like that. Yeah?
Absolutely. The key thing is that they get as much interaction with each other as possible. For example, we have young families. The children learn how to interact with the dogs. We have older families and they'll organise walks with each other. And it really is just a nice way of meeting people. We give everybody advice if they want to know where is dog friendly locally. We have a big list of places that will take dogs, cafes, pubs, even some just standard shops will allow dogs in, and that's something that I don't think a lot of people in Reigate will know. You can take your dog, for example, the market stores, the Bell, the Chapel, which is a fantastic little eatery, it's family run. Gales, I believe, is outside, Cafe Nero. There is a lot of resources just in that little enclave alone, and there are a lot more that I could list, but that's a broad stroke.
So it's a really good kind of community for passing on those hints and tips as well.
It really is, yeah, and we learn all the time. I don't think that I know everything about dogs, and the second that I stop learning is when I think maybe I should step away.
Okay, so whereabouts is it, when is it, how do people get in touch?
We have a Facebook page, and all they need to do is either shoot us a message or turn up at 9:30 on a Saturday, as long as it's not raining. We do bump it to the Sunday from 10 o'clock if it is going to rain, and we do one Sunday a month from 10 o'clock. And that's the second Sunday of the month. They can either shoot us a message or they can turn up in person. We are open to all and every, and as long as their dog is happy, they're happy, then we're happy.
And my visit to see Phaedra and the other members of the FaceBARK group a few weekends ago gave me the inspiration to start a brand new feature on the Planet Reigate podcast that you're going to hear now and again, starting next week, in next week's show of the Planet Reigate podcast. So if you've got a dog or you're an animal lover, make sure you listen out for that. That'll be next week in the Planet Reigate podcast. More on the way in this week's edition. Stay tuned for more details. Episode 38. I'm Peter Stewart.
The Belfry Shopping Centre, Redhill. Ditch the click for hassle-free local shopping in a welcoming environment. See, touch, smell and try before you buy, and speak to real people who can advise you. The Belfry Shopping Centre, Redhill. Woodlands Lettings, connecting landlords with tenants for over 20 years. If you have a property to let, pop into our office on Station Road by the Belfry main entrance for a coffee and a chat. Or call 01737 372 797.
Hi, I'm Lucy of Lucy's Ladle in Earlswood. You may know me from my home delivery of soups, stews, salads and snacks across RH1, 2 and 6. I'm in my kitchen finalising plans for my special midsummer supper menu. There's a creamy cannellini bean, pea and basil hummus topped with caramelised spring onion and served with homemade seeded crackers. Then a summer veg tagine with courgette, new potatoes and green beans, or a Thai coconut curry with mixed peppers, aubergine and baby corn. To finish, I'm doing an apricot, fig and amaretto compote. 3 courses, £45 for 2 people, delivered to your door in time for dinner on June the 21st. To order, call me on 07983 651 678.
Well, I don't know about you, but my mouth is watering after that. OK, let's move on to our news sequence. And a meeting in Redhill has given a perspective on business in the town. The Redhill Business Guild heard that in April, the Belfry had 70,000 visitors. That's more than in April last year. And Andy Nash, the centre manager at the Belfry, commenting on the possible loss of M&S, pointing out that the retailer has a 100-year lease on the 2-floor unit in Redhill, and the store is running in the black, and it gets 50,000 visitors a week. So 70,000 visitors a week to the Belfry, and 50,000 people of that 70,000, presumably, looking at the face of it, going into Marks and Sparks. And M&S has been enjoying double-digit percentage increases on sales in the months running up to the announced consultation, because, as you've probably heard, there is a proposal to possibly close that store. There are several national names already inquiring about the M&S space should it become available. So visitor numbers up 17% on the year to date, and the Belfry currently has 49 occupied units. There's only 2 vacant at the moment, and both of which have inquiries from new tenants which are progressing. So congratulations and great stuff there from Andy Nash at the Belfry. However, if Marks and Spencer's does move out and that unit becomes available, it's kind of 2 units, isn't it, because it's on 2 floors. If another business does want to move in but only to one of those, it does mean that those 2 floors are going to have to undergo quite a bit of change, because, well, if they don't want that food area in Marks and Spencer's, they're going to have to take out all of those chilled units and so on. If they only want 1 floor, they're going to have to take out the escalator. If they take out the escalator, they've got to reinstall that floor between the 2 floors. And once they've put in the new floor, then they've got to put in the new lighting and the new sprinkler system and all such like as well. So there's quite a bit of work that would have to be done if, as and when Marks and Sparks pulls out. We're still keeping our fingers crossed. And looking at those numbers there, M&S still got a 100-year lease in the Belfry, and the store's running in the black, and it gets 50,000 visitors a week. On the face of it, doesn't quite add up, does it? New training facilities in Reigate will help to attract the right people to the fire service. That's according to a senior officer. Yes, Surrey County Council recently approved the largest single training investment in Surrey Fire and Rescue HQ history. They're based, of course, in Reigate, as I say. And the Assistant Chief Fire Officer, Sally Wilson, saying replacing the dated buildings there in Ray Park will lead to a modern service for the future. The new buildings will allow training involving working at height, live fire behaviour, use of breathing apparatus and operations in confined spaces. The current building is over 40 years old. It's coming to the end of its life because they do set live fires there. And as I say, live fire behaviour, so I'm presuming what that means is that they're setting fire to different things, different materials in different situations, and that's the whole of the training process for those new firefighters. And also, and this is of particular interest if you live near Surrey Fire and Rescue HQ at Ray Park, new technology will help them address contaminants on local residents caused by that live fire training. Now, if the plans are approved, Surrey Fire and Rescue say building work will start in autumn 2025 and is estimated to last a year and a half. From fire to ambulance, and the first of 3 fully electric vehicles being trialled by South East Coast Ambulance Service are taking to the roads over the next few days. They're single responder vehicles. They're going to be initially based out of 3 South East Coast Ambulance Service sites. Our nearest one is going to be Gatwick. The Mercedes-Benz e-Vitos are being trialled as part of an NHS England zero emission project. Are you involved in a local business? Well, if so, you can go along to the Business Surrey Roadshow, which is a whole series of events which could help your business grow and prosper. Now, there are several across Surrey. We've got one happening in Hawley. I'll give you the details in a few moments' time. But essentially, it's free accessible support to businesses in the county. Surrey Chambers of Commerce is partnering with Surrey County Council to showcase a wide range of support available to local businesses, whatever size they happen to be. They're interactive sessions, a great opportunity to learn all about support, connect with other business professionals, discuss challenges, swap ideas, get inspiration to help get future success for your business. And why are Surrey County Council and Surrey Chambers of Commerce involved? Well, of course, success for your business means success for the wider community and the wider economy right across the best bit of Britain. Now, places are free, but they've got to be booked in advance. The date for your diary, 13th of June, so just a few weeks away, 8 in the morning till 10:30, so it's not going to take up the whole of your day. It's just a couple of hours, essentially, 8 till 10:30, and it's happening at Langshot Manor in Hawley, RH6. Now, if you want some more details on that, businesssurrey.co.uk. Have a little bit of a nose around that site. If you can't find the details, get in touch with me and I'll happily pass them on.
Email hello@theplanetregatepodcast.com.
A new business is coming to Redhill High Street. Yeah, there's been talk for quite some weeks, hasn't there, about Creams. Well, I can tell you that Creams is now opening on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday the 6th. They've got over 100 stores across the UK. They sell, desserts, which are rather nice, and ice creams and gelatos and waffles and things like that. However, I had a little nose on their website and there seems to be a little bit of confusion about where exactly they will be. Is it going to be Redhill High Street or not? Because their website lists the nearest train station to their new store on Redhill's High Street as being, Reading. It includes a whole spiel about how fantastic Reading is on the page for Redhill. Oops. Appropriately enough, they seem to have cream pie on their face, don't they? If you go along, hopefully you enjoy it and have an ice cream on us. When I say have it on us, I don't mean I'm going to pay. Just mention that for legal reasons. Okay. Salfords and Sidlow Parish Council, I was saying last week in the episode how they'd announced that BBC Radio 4's Any Questions is going to be coming to the area. Well, not anymore, because since our programme went out, the Prime Minister announced the general election, of course. And that means that, unfortunately, the BBC have had to change the date of their Radio 4 Any Questions appearance, which had been planned for Friday the 14th of June locally. It's been rescheduled for Friday the 27th of September. Now, if you've already got a free ticket to Any Questions for the June appearance, you'll need to reapply for the September events. And free tickets will be available from the 10th of June. If you got one of the original tickets, you'll know which way to go. And if not, then contact Salfords and Sidlow Parish Council for more details on that. Got an email during the course of the week. Good morning, Peter. I work for the UK's leading end-of-life charity called Marie Curie, where we're launching a new volunteer-led pilot right here in East Surrey. Well, that's great, isn't it? Because I know that they do some fantastic work right around the country, and it's great they're going to be piloting something in our neck of the woods. So they are on the lookout for volunteers to act as companions for local care home residents. Janine at Age Concern recommended the Planet Reigate podcast to Zabian, who wrote to me, and they say, is there any way you could possibly mention this new service on your podcast, please? Well, happy to do so. So you would become a companion volunteer, providing emotional and practical support for people at the end of life and those close to them. We're looking for volunteers, say Marie Curie. Aged 18 or over, we need people with good listening skills and some knowledge of IT as well. Full training will be given. More information, mariecurie.org.uk/volunteering or Surrey Companion at mariecurie.org.uk. YMCA East Surrey have written to me. They say we'd love to promote our subsidised and free health services at YMCA in Earlswood. They say we run a 10-week healthy eating weight management course. It includes weekly weigh-in, education, support and guided exercise sessions to help reduce the risk of developing health conditions like diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Every Wednesday, 11:30 to 1 and 6:30 to 8, cost £59, but that does include membership of the YMCA gym and exercise classes for 10 weeks. More information, healthy measures at ymcaeastsurrey.org.uk. They say we also offer free NHS health checks at the YMCA. It's a free check where results go to your GP. It includes fingerprint cholesterol check, blood pressure check. There's also have a look at your BMI, ask you some lifestyle questions and give healthy lifestyle advice. So if you're aged between 40 and 74 years old, you're not suffering or diagnosed with stroke, heart disease, angina, atrial fibrillation, diabetes, kidney disease, dementia, high blood pressure or high cholesterol. So if you don't have those, and if you are not currently taking statins or medication for high blood pressure, then you can go along. So that's YMCA East Surrey. So get in touch with them. Healthy measures at ymcaeastsurrey.org.uk for some more information. And of course, we don't have the Harlequin main theatre in Redhill at the moment, but also, as I mentioned a few episodes back, another theatre is likely to be closing its doors as well. Well, certainly it is. We are talking about... I'm sorry, I'm hesitating to mention the word, but I'm doing it. It's a public service that I mention the word. Dorking, the Dorking Halls will be closed for refurbishment from Monday, from the 3rd of June to Wednesday the 9th of October. Improvement works will begin to the Grand Hall, so they are going to be closed for several weeks while that work goes on. This is the Planet Reigate podcast. I'm Peter Stewart. Still to come before the end of the show, hearing what Pippa loves about Redhill, but what change, quite a significant change as well, she would like to make. Listen to what she has to say to me a little bit later on, and also find out whether you agree with her idea, with her proposal. Also, we celebrate local heroes in a few moments' time with our weekly Planet Reigate Stars award. This week from Checks Notes, Liverpool. How does that fit in with the Planet Reigate area? I'll tell you in a few moments' time. And before we go, at the end of the show, a natural sound from a place you know, our 60-second soundscape. Another recording from last month's Dawn Chorus morning, when our microphone was in Brockham. And there's much more in our archive shows as well. For episode 28, we heard from Woodsy, who went from a local school to national exposure and a tour in the United States. He's what's called a performance poet. I spoke to him ahead of the launch of his new book. So hear from Woodsy on episode 28 on our page on your favourite podcast app.
Planet Reigate Stars. Thanking local heroes who are out of this world.
Now, I've been teasing you with this during the course of the show so far, haven't I? About why is a Planet Reigate star this week actually from Liverpool? Well, let me tell you why. Quote, our cat went missing almost a year ago from Liverpool. We thought he was stolen and had been sold on, but a few days ago we had a call he was found walking the streets in Surrey. RH2. To be honest, the vets found him and took him in and scanned his chip. He was well looked after and it doesn't seem as though he'd been living on the streets, so we've now collected him and brought him home to Liverpool. But the family wanted to thank whoever was looking after him and to say he's now back with them up north, so don't get worried if he doesn't come home to you anymore, because he's back with the original family. So that's the story behind this week's Planet Reigate Stars. So if you're the local family in maybe RH2 who have been looking after the mystery cat for quite a while and you're thinking, well, where's he gone now? We can't see him for love nor... Well, the reason is he's gone back to his original family in Liverpool, but that original family wants to thank the newer family for looking after him in the meantime. So, Planet Reigate Star Award goes to you. Now, last week, our guests, well, the first ever Reigate Summer Festival is just, kind of a couple of 3 weeks away now, isn't it? Father's Day weekend. Last week, we learnt a little bit more about what's planned with Tim, one of the organisers. And you know what? Because we are official media partners of the Reigate Summer Festival, then we're going to be hearing a little bit more about what's planned next week in the show as well. Yeah, where pills and potions may not help you, acupuncture may just do the trick. So last week, Nikki told us what she does and how you can get a cut price treatment in Merstham. They have kind of a community clinic going on there. As I said last week, what have you got to lose apart from a few quid and maybe an ache or a pain that's been niggling away at you for quite some months? And the days are getting longer, the strawberry season just around the corner, Wimbledon just around the corner as well, just a few weeks away now. And last week I heard from some of the members of Reigate Priory Lawn Tennis Club. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, Reigate Summer Festival, hear more about their plans in next week's show because we are media partners with them. And you can tell it's summer because all sorts of other local outdoor events are going on, including Rayfest, which is Saturday the 6th of July. They've got live music, DJs and entertainment, a family fun zone, the food village, makers market, a feel-good arena, petting zoo, inflatables and loads more as well. And we're going to be hearing more about that next week in the programme as well, because we are also media partners with Rayfest 2024 as well. So all that's next week in the show. But now, in this week's edition, here's part 2 of our events listing to help you plan your week ahead in the Planet Reigate area. We call it the Good Time Guide.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
And the Planet Reigate podcast is proud to be official media partner with the Archway Theatre in Hawley. For more information and booking details, go to archwaytheatre.com or phone 0333 666 3366. And they've got a brand new production starting Tuesday.
My name is Joy Matthews and I am directing a play called Di and Viv and Rose by Amelia Bullmore. The play will be performed at the Archway Theatre in the Drive at Hawley. The performance dates for the play will be June the 4th to the 15th at 7:45, and on June the 8th there is a matinee at 2 p.m. I really wanted to direct this play, having seen it at Hampstead in 2013. The theme of this play is friendship, and it's a bittersweet comedy charting the enduring friendship of 3 girls who meet for the first time at university. I think audiences will really like this play because of the theme of friendship and all that that implies. You can find out more about this play and obtain tickets by going onto the Archway website, www.archwaytheatre.co.uk. I should mention that the play does contain some references to sexual matters and a certain amount of bad language which some people might find upsetting.
Wednesday the 5th of June at the Red Lion and Cellar Room in Betchworth. Just on that corner, kind of set back there up the side. Yeah, okay, proud to support Santa Paws Bulgarian Rescue. It's a charity curry and quiz night on Wednesday, as I say. Starts at 7:30, £12 a person, and all the money raised goes to the charity. Any team size, cash prizes with an auction as well. To book your team, simply call 01737 843336. That's Santa Paws Bulgarian Rescue. So more details on that, as I say, on the number previously given, 01737 843336. Please join us for our next sound bath at Hookwood Memorial Hall on the 5th of June. Allow the healing vibrations of gongs and singing bowls to relax you and help you feel restored. Please bring a mat, a pillow, a blanket and water to drink. To book, you can phone Penelope 07729 762955. On Friday the 7th, Redhill Waterstones are launching a young adults monthly book club. The event is free. Just turn up on the night and have fun discussing the book of the month and decide together what the next book will be. So this is Waterstones in the Belfry in Redhill. There'll be snacks, hello, like-minded book lovers, and the chance to buy the next book with a 10% discount as well. So it's going to be a Friday, 6 till 7 o'clock. Make sure you pick up a copy of 5 Service by Holly Jackson in store. So that is going to be their book of the week, which is going to be discussed at the Belfry Waterstones this coming Friday between 6 and 7. Lunchtime Song Bites starting Friday. It's a weekly lunchtime choir designed to get you in a good mood for the weekend. Join us to discover the benefits that singing offers to both physical and mental health. It's going to be at the Harlequin Pop-Up in the Belfry in Redhill. And yes, you can just rock up to that and have a little sing-song in your lunch hour. And I'm looking here to see, the information I've got doesn't actually say what they actually consider to be the lunch hour, to be quite honest with you. So best you contact the Harlequin Theatre on social media to find out more details on that. Sorry about that, just coming across that small pinch point there as I'm reading this out. Okay, the YMCA East Surrey Wellbeing Walks. Now, I mentioned this right at the beginning of the show, didn't I, that Donna had got in touch, and she particularly wants to draw our attention to the Felland Copse Viewpoint Trail. So twice a month, the walkers meet at Earlswood Lakes car park and set off on one of two very different routes where they enjoy the open air, exercise, sociable company, and observe the passage of the seasons in various weather conditions. And the group benefits from two friendly walk leaders, Dave and Debbie. Yeah, Dave uses his local knowledge, provides an opportunity to see and identify seasonal wildflowers, butterflies, local birds and waterfowl, plus a wonderful view of the various routes they're on, following which you can reward yourself with refreshments back at the Lakeside Cafe, of course, which sounds good, doesn't it? Go along and meet Dave or Debbie and the group soon. The details: Felland Copse Viewpoint Trail, first and third Fridays of the month at 10:30, and it's going on for 90 minutes, so you actually meet at the Earlswood Lakes car park. You know where that is. No cost, no booking, just turn up 10 minutes before to be registered, so everyone knows that you're there. And if you want more information, 01737 779979, another nice number there, 01737 779979. Julie.haslett@ymcaesurrey.org.uk or Kate.Holler I love that name, Holler, Holah, Kate.Holler @ymcaeastsurrey.org.uk. Now, there are a whole series of other walks. I won't go into all of the details, but I will mention them on and off over the forthcoming weeks as they come up. There's a walk on the Nutfield Marsh, first and third Mondays. Langshot Lanes, second and fourth Mondays. Around Watercolour Lakes on the second and fourth Mondays. Merston Moors and Marshes on the first and third Tuesdays. Bletchingley Way West, the first Wednesday of the month. Bletchingley Way East on the third Wednesday of the month. Outwood Common, fourth Wednesday of the month. Earlswood Common and Lakes, Thursdays. Birchwood Acres, the fourth Thursday. Reigate Priory Park on Fridays. Salford Stroll in Salford, first Friday of the month. Felland Copse Viewpoint, previously mentioned, and the Macmillan Walk for those affected by cancer, including carers, family and friends, the second and fourth Fridays of the month, meeting outside the Macmillan Cancer Support Centre at East Surrey. Now, most of these start at 10 or 10:30. There's a scattering of them that start maybe 11 or 1 or 2. So you really need to get in touch with the aforementioned Julie and Kate to find out more information. Julie.Haslett, Haslett @ymcaeastsurrey.org.uk or Kate.Holler, Holah @ymcaeastsurrey.org.uk for more details. We always look ahead to what's happening on the following Saturday as well. And if you want to know how to boost your gut health, you can go along and talk about and listen in and learn more about a lunch rich in gut healthy goodness. Your lunch will include a summary welcome drink on arrival, a 5-course healthy gut tasting menu, herb-infused waters and fruity iced teas, and over lunch you'll learn about the best foods for improving your gut health, how to eat probiotics and prebiotics every day, yeah, there is a difference, which foods harm your gut and which ones to avoid, the best and worst diets for your gut, and tips for healthier guts that you can easily do. It's 12 o'clock, Saturday the 8th of June at St John Community Centre in Redhill. And to book your spot, you can head on over to thecopperpotclub.co.uk for more information. Reigate Caves has another open day on Saturday week, June the 8th. go to regatecaves.org.uk to book them for prices. And there's a family quiz night on June the 8th between 6:30 and 10:30. The Year 7 Plus group at St John's Redhill will be hosting that quiz night as a fundraising event to support their chosen charity Wellcare, who support and strengthen local families. It'll be a fun event for all the family. Food and drink is included with each ticket. So that is at St John's Community Centre, Church Road in Redhill, Saturday week, June the 8th. And Merstham Horticultural Society has its 120th anniversary event next Saturday, so congratulations to them, and you can hear more about the Merstham Horticultural Society in episode 34 of the Planet Reigate podcast. Well, a few weeks ago I was at the Earlswood Carnival. The Hawley Carnival is in a few weeks' time, plus there's Pub in the Park and the Reigate Summer Festival and Rayfest, and probably something that you're going to be organising or going to as well, somewhere across Reigate, Redhill or Merstham, Buckland, Betchworth or Brockham. Now, if we look back on our local history, Reigate Pageants were all the rage back in the early 1900s, particularly between 1913 all the way through to 1963. Now, the first in 1913 was the Pilgrims Pageant, actually staged on Collie Hill, and that had a whole procession of costumed characters reflecting the days when the pilgrims toiled along the way. The second one was held not on Collie Hill, but at the old bus garage on the corner of Bell Street and Lesbourne Road. Do you remember that? Do you remember the old bus garage is what I'm asking you to remember, not the actual pageant. It was to celebrate the coronation of King George VI in 1937, with Reigate Grammar School providing one of the ensembles there. The last 5 pageants were performed in Reigate Priory Park on a huge scale, and they were actually directed by someone called Cecile Hummel, who taught history to school children at Merstham Grange. A pageant of Reigate in 1951 was devised to celebrate the Festival of Britain and included the scenes from Reigate's past, including, rather curiously, according to my research, George Frederick Handel conducting his water music beside Priory Lake. And I don't think that ever happened. I don't think Handel ever came to Reigate. I could be wrong in that regard. The Heritage of the Crown happened in 1953, celebrated, what do you reckon, in 1953? Yeah, the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. It was all about kings and queens and chivalry. Reigate Grammar School participated. They did a version of the Battle of Agincourt, apparently. The Surrey Cavalcade was in 1956, included different historical scenes from across Surrey, not just the Planet Reigate area, including King John signing Magna Carta at Runnymede, highwaymen and smugglers on Bagshot Heath. Heck, we've had a few highwaymen, haven't we, on Reigate Heath as well, and ended in Edwardian Reigate with a horse-drawn bus, a veteran car, and Sherlock Holmes solving the case of the Reigate Squires. Yes, if you didn't realise, one of the Sherlock Holmes mysteries was based in and around Reigate. In 1959, there was a Priory Panorama, which told the story of Reigate Priory down the ages, from the time it was a medieval monastery, through all the families, the Howards and the Summers, all the way up to the present day. Well, the present day as of 1959. And also my research shows that in 1959, for the Priory Panorama, there was an air raid which was reconstructed, and also Priory Park school children got onto the fields there and actually formed the outline of the school badge. That would be something rather spectacular today with the use of drones, wouldn't it? I'm not sure they got the full effect there back in 1959. There was another pageant in 1963 called The Unsheathed Sword, which celebrated the centenary of Reigate becoming a borough, and depicted in the first episode a guy called Thomas Dan arriving at Reigate in a hansom carriage to become its first mayor. And the whole theme of that pageant back in 63 was the rise of democracy, and included scenes of rebellion and riot, and the pageant included the first train to pass through Redhill. The engine was actually built on the back of a Land Rover, and the carriages were mounted on car chassis, which were moved through the park. A spectacular and colourful reminder of the past across the Planet Reigate area. So if you are taking part in any event, whether it be a carnival, a procession, a pageant, or it's going to be one of our carnivals, or maybe it's a school or church fete or something of that nature, anywhere in the Planet Reigate area over the course of the summer, then I hope it goes brilliantly. I hope the sun shines on you, the attendance is magnificent, and the monies raised is terrific. I wish you the very best of luck.
Planet Reigate is the North Downs Way and the Pilgrim's Way. And this is the Planet Reigate podcast.
And this is Peter Stewart. Now, are you running a local event? Maybe you want an extra boost to your attendance. If so, well, talk to us here at the Planet Reigate podcast about our media partner package. Now, as you know, all of the mentions in the Good Time Guide, which we've just had, and all of the interviews are free. So if you want to mention in that way or shape, you don't pay anything to be on. But as a media partner of the Planet Reigate podcast, your event gets what we call showcased. And what that means is we'll arrange a short interview about the event. We'll work closely with you to provide additional mentions in the weeks leading up to it. So not just the previous 7 or 8 days. We mention it more often so people can buy tickets, have the date in their diary, put the time aside. Maybe you want us to mention some prizes that you're after, as well as attendance, things like that. And we also highlight your website or email or ticket page on the show as well. And of course, all of that, as everything else, is heard by listeners in our hyper-local area of Reigate, Redhill and Merstham, Buckland, Betchworth and Brockham. I'm Peter Stewart. Welcome to this week's edition of the Planet Reigate podcast.
The Planet Reigate podcast. Great stories from Redhill.
Now, what changes would you like to see in Redhill? Pippa has been giving me a tour and she's got a really interesting plan to make it easier to get from the railway station into the centre of town and bypass that awful and dangerous junction by the bus station there. And of course, once you're in town, you can go and support some of the independent shops, the cafes, the restaurants, and also you can pop into our friends at the Belfry and you can buy things there. And also you can pop up Station Road and go into Woodland's letting agency. They're also great supporters of the show, of course. So hear what Pippa has in mind and whether you agree. This is what happened when we had our conversation, which started off just by the bus station.
Well, that's the sound of the 424 bus just leaving the bus station here in Redhill. I was looking around and there are an awful lot of roads kind of going into the bus station and out of the bus station, around the roundabout as well. Pippa Martin is with me from the Reigate and Redhill Society. And this is one of your issues, isn't it, Pippa? You want to see a bit of a change here.
I do. 50 years ago, we thought that a bridge from the stations over the roundabout to the centre of Redhill would be practical so that the traffic can move freely underneath and the pedestrians can enter the centre of Redhill. It could also be a landmark for Redhill. It can be a beautiful construction and it can be something that Redhillians can be proud of.
Because it is a very busy road, a very busy junction. You probably know it. Sainsbury's up to one side. I was going to say Millionaires over there, but of course it's not anymore, is it? It's the picture house. It's the flats there, which kind of fit in to where the old cinema was. What do you reckon is the view of people when they come to Redhill and they get off the train station and they're trying to find the Belfry? Do they know where to go and how to get there?
People unfortunately come to Redhill very often and the first thing they think of is how can they get out of Redhill, which is a shame, but they come for the supermarket basically, and now hopefully they'll come for the rise, for the light, and the new atmosphere that's being created in Redhill. It's a town of optimism.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about that in a few moments' time. Where do you see that bridge kind of going from and to?
I see it going slightly from the north to where the bicycle and the car park is, going over the roundabout. I think it'll have to be quite curvy and skewed. It can't be a straight bridge. Over possibly McDonald's, right into the centre of Redhill.
We can tell that it's noisy here. Let's pick up our bag. Let's walk into Redhill itself. And this isn't a madcap idea, is it? Because you've actually spoken to various architects and you've looked at various designs.
I'm just an artist with a vision. But look, you've got this area here. There's room for a bridge. It wouldn't actually inhibit the market because the market can be north and south of a bridge. I think basically because I'm a complete green addict, I want trees and greenery. I want it to be a feeling of peace, that you come to the Redhill and it can be an enjoyable experience. I don't want people to say to me anymore, I can't wait to get out of Redhill. It was cited at Christmas as being the second worst town in Surrey, and it's not true. This is a pedestrian precinct. It had started being truly litter-free. I mean, the Green Party and the borough have litter collection. This is a great cafe run by a Turkish family. They have fresh food every day, beautiful coffee, and Redhill is a very cosmopolitan town. We are of every colour and creed.
And talk to me about the Belfry. Interesting fact, I was here on the day the Belfry opened and interviewed Joanna Lumley, who cut the ribbon.
Right.
And how's the Belfry performing? That must be a bit of a draw for the town.
I think you ought to meet Andy Nash, who is the manager. He is phenomenal. Everybody respects him. It's always spectacularly clean. All the shops are well staffed, they're polite, and on a freezing cold day you can come and sit there and keep warm.
Then we got the entrance to the light,
right,
which I've only heard good things about. I've been in there a few times as well.
Well, I think if you're 18, it's fantastic. To an 80-year-old, it's not quite the joy. I love being outside. But look, it's now open till midnight.
I can tell you're really passionate about Redhill and you want to fly the flag for Redhill because I think it can be a little bit undersold by people, can't it, in the area? And I'm feeling you kind of take that a bit personally.
Oh, I do, yes, absolutely. I've only lived here 50 years.
If other people share your passion for Redhill or want to see it change for the better and the development that they want to have in the town and the changes that they want, how do they get in touch? Because you're involved with the Reigate and Redhill Society, aren't you?
Absolutely. I am the civic chairman for Redhill. I have a very big committee. I have people who support what I do. It's a society which was started in 1951 to save Reigate Priory. And then it grew. You do need a civic society so that people have a voice. They can, say what they think. We can make the changes if we, the people, want it. If people want a town that's fit for their children, grandchildren, for the future, go into www.Reigate Redhill Society. I'm passionate, but then I'm passionate about anything.
I wonder what you think about Pippa's ideas. And you know what? It's really great to hear someone talk up Redhill rather than talk down Redhill, isn't it? Because it's got so much to offer, the Planet Reigate area. Pippa, thank you so much indeed for contacting me, as she did, out of the blue one morning. And it was great to hear that you wanted to come on the Planet Reigate podcast and to meet up with you a few weeks ago now and hear your ideas, your thoughts, your passion for Redhill. And if you would like to get in touch with me, hello at theplanetregatepodcast.com. Remember to subscribe via your favourite podcast app. And also you can listen to us on smart speaker. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can also listen to us on YouTube. And an increasing number of people are. That you may think it a little bit odd that people listen on YouTube, but because there are no additional pictures, there's no video or anything, but some people just prefer to listen on YouTube, which is absolutely fantastic. That's why we're up there as well, and we're on every podcast app too, so you can listen to us wherever you are and whatever you're doing across the Planet Reigate area, whether you're doing housework, commuting, walking the dog, taking the kids to school, whatever it happens to be. don't forget to listen and subscribe. Now, perhaps you need an independent facilitator for a work event or maybe a round table discussion. Maybe that you're after a host for a Q&A with your top team or with local politicians or councillors about something that you've got going on in the area. Perhaps you want someone who can do an on-stage interview at your launch event or host a quiz night or a charity draw. Get in touch with me. Again, the details, hello@theplanetregatepodcast.com. Now, news of the area's roadworks. We give you the heads up so you can avoid the hold-ups. And new this week, Silverlea Gardens in Hawley. They've got pavement reconstruction works through until the 26th of July. Norwood Hill Road in Charlwood, surface dressing preparation works. Goes on for another couple of days, in fact through till the 12th of June. Reigate Road. Yeah, Reigate Road in Reigate. They've got drainage improvements to alleviate constant flooding issues. That's at Shag Brook, just outside the Pheasant Pub, so be aware of that. And also we can tell you that Norbury Road in Reigate as well, through until June the 11th. They've got some traffic lights, and that is because of some electricity work which is going on there. Reigate, Dovers Green Road, Cockshot Hill, Prices Lane on and off through until October. Earlsbrook Road in Redhill through until December. Salford's West Avenue until October. And Charlwood, Russ Hill Road is closed for essential gas repairs until June the 28th. An advance notice mentioned this last week as well, that there's going to be quite a few road closures and lane closures on the M23. That's between junctions 8 and 10 overnight. When I say overnight, it's usually 9 p.m. till 4 a.m, sometimes through till 5 a.m. It's for essential resurfacing works. So essentially M23 junctions 9 to 10, including various slips. 3rd of June for 3 nights, 10th of June for 5 nights, 17th of June for 3 nights, Junction 10, 20th of June for 2 nights, 24th of June for 4 nights, and the 1st and the 9th of July as well. Junction 9, northbound entry slip for the night of the 8th of July. Between 8 and 9, the junctions there, lane closures the 6th of June for a couple of nights, and the M23 junctions 9 to 8, lane closures 12th of July for 1 night, and the 15th of July for 5 nights. I feel as I should be having a bingo card after saying all that.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
Thank you so much indeed for the loan of your ears on this week's edition of the Planet Reigate podcast.
Next week on the Planet Reigate podcast.
Yeah, the Planet Reigate podcast is proud media partners with the Reigate Summer Festival. You may have heard us mention that before. And it's in a couple of weeks' time. Hear more about their plans for the free music and arts event taking over the town on Father's Day weekend in next week's episode. And we're also partnering with the Ray Fest on the 6th of July at Ray Common. Live music, a food village, DJs, a petting zoo, inflatables and much, much more. Hear exactly what is on in next week's show as well. Plus a whole host of other features and stories from places you love and from people you know right here on the Planet Reigate podcast.
The 60-second soundscape. Local natural sounds. Uninterrupted.
But before we go, at the end of the show, natural sounds from a place you know. And this week, Brockham Bridge on Dawn Chorus morning last month with robin, blackbirds, wood pigeon and wren.
Planet Reigate podcast was produced and presented by Peter Stewart.